Minasan, konnichiwa. Nico here from the Road to Japan podcast and working title on YouTube. So this is hopefully going to be a quicker video than my first attempt. I actually tried recording this video a few days ago and I ended up draining the battery just because it ran so long. I think once the battery died, the video was somewhere around 40 minutes. So hopefully I can make this one obviously a little bit shorter. And that should be doable because, you know, I've had more time to essentially kind of cool down about the situation, because I will admit that first go I was still pretty hot-headed about the whole situation. Plus I've received more information since that first attempt was made, so hopefully this can kind of definitely be a much calmer and, as a result, shorter video. So this is going to be titled "A Video That You Should Watch If You're a Transfer Student," and I feel it is very important because I'm going to list a few things that will hopefully help make the transfer process a little smoother for those of you out there that are going to be transfer students. Obviously, if you're just doing the whole 4 years at, you know, a university or whatever, that's perfectly fine, but I don't know if you're really going to get a lot of information out of this video. But you're obviously welcome to watch, so, you know, it's entirely up to you. But for those of you that are transfer students, I'm going to give tips as well as kind of incorporate my own story in here. Not because I really want to fluff up my own deal, but because this was such a headache for me, I want to kind of use my situation as an example so that those of you listening and hearing these tips will, you know, basically not have the same situation happen to you. As far as I know at this point, everything is okay and everything is smoothed over, but last week was pretty much a very hellacious week for me. It started with me, I'm not sure where I should begin. So, okay, so last year I applied to UWM, which is where I plan to transfer to finish out my bachelor's degree. No big deal. That's, you know, a lot of students do that. And so I applied, was admitted, and was originally going to major in Japanese, which is what I had in mind. And the reason I applied last year is because I was going to start at least my Japanese courses, because, you know, best situation, I was going to have to at least do 3 years of language study in order to complete the major of Japanese. So that originally was my plan, and I think over the summer of last year I decided that I didn't want to do that. Not because I don't want to learn Japanese, I very much do, and if possible I may still try to take some classes incorporating with my current major, because there are going to be several elective credits, so who knows, I may still be able to at least get some Japanese classes under my belt. But my current major now is going to be sociology. But that's, well, it's relevant, but not necessarily relevant at the moment. So because of that, because I did not need to start my UWM classes as soon as I thought, I just kind of put that, you know, off to the side and just continued with my work at MATC, and as a result I am looking to graduate at the end of the semester. Now this is where things kind of got a little complicated for me, in that because now we're almost a year later and now I'm looking at starting my UWM classes soon to again pursue my bachelor's degree, because I'm finishing up at MATC. So I met with a recruiter at UWM, and I wanted to start the process of kind of getting a game plan going as far as what classes I was going to need to take in order to, get my bachelor's degree. And I was hoping, and ultimately disappointed with the idea that that this recruiter could lay out my game plan for me. Unfortunately, that's not what they do. They basically look at, they'll evaluate my transcripts, or well, I think it was an unofficial transcript, but they evaluate my grades, what classes I've taken, what subjects I've covered, and pretty much tell me what is left to do. And I don't know, I guess kind of lay a foundation of what my game plan will be, but ultimately it will be an advisor that, lays out the solid game plan. So, I mean, it was no big deal to me. I was like, okay, well, then I guess I need to get cracking on finding an advisor. So how do I do that? And they said, well, you'll have to talk to the admissions department since you were admitted last year, and so on and so forth. And I said, okay, fine. So I sent an email to the admissions department at UWM, and this is where the trouble really began for me, is that and ultimately this story is going to be about miscommunication on a immense scale. Like, just wow, blows my mind, kind of, really. But admissions originally told me, they said, well, because you registered, well, not registered, I didn't register for any classes, but because I was admitted last year and I completed all the paperwork that was necessary, transcripts, fees, all that, I would have to reapply and be readmitted if I wanted to start my classes in the fall. But they told me that I could bypass that, basically not have to worry about getting readmitted and all that nonsense, if I was willing to take at least one class at UWM this summer. So I was planning on taking classes at, over the summer anyway, so might as well make it one of the classes at UWM. So I said, okay, that should be fine. What do I need to do? And there were two forms that I needed to fill out. One was the form for a major change. So I needed to switch from Japanese, which was my declared major on my original admission, and switch that to sociology, which is what I'm now working towards. That was one form. The other form was they call it a term change request. So because I was originally set to start classes in the fall last year, I need to fill out this form to say, no, I want to actually start classes in summer. And no big deal. I was able to print out the forms, fill them out here, scan them, and then email them back. The problem was that both these forms required what they call my campus ID, which is, I think, the same as a student ID number. And this is where the real frustration started. Because I didn't remember, and I did not, I was not smart and wrote it down somewhere, or kept it in a safe place. So I had to retrieve my campus ID. No big deal, I'm sure this kind of stuff happens all the time. But holy crap, the way that UWM handles their campus ID retrieval is insane. Like, okay, so here's how it works. You first off, it's not as simple as, say, like I forgot my password or I forgot my login or something like that. Because typically, usually, all you got to do is fill out like a little request form. It's all automated, and you send an email, just to verify that it's secure and everything. You confirm, and then you can go about resetting your password and stuff. Unfortunately, with a campus ID, you have to talk to someone to do that, which again is not a big deal. I do have a couple days where I'm not in class, so those days are ideal for me to make a phone call as such. So I have to call their help desk, basically their IT support staff people. Again, not a big deal. I mean, it did suck that I was basically put on hold for almost 20 minutes every time I called, which tells me they're either really understaffed or they're just not really getting through these calls very quickly. I don't know. I'm obviously not on the other side, so I have no idea what's going on over there. But I finally get through, and keep in mind I've worked in call centers. I've worked in like support roles, so I understand what these people are going through. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm being patient, courteous, considerate. I'm not coming on and being like some big a-hole to them or whatever. Because I've been there. I know what it's like, and it's not pleasant. So I'm talking with someone, and I say, okay, I need my campus ID. Can you help me out, please? And this is what started the frustration, is the fact that the person I was talking to could not help me because they are a level 1 tech, and I have to speak to a level 2, which, I don't know, that seems a bit dumb to me. I mean, we're talking about a campus ID, we're not talking about, I think it's been easier to, I think it'd be easier to retrieve my social security number than, this campus ID business. I mean, I just find it kind of stupid. The really dumb part was that once I gave my name and such, this level 1 I was talking to had all my information right in front of them, including my campus ID. They literally told me, yeah, I'm looking right at your campus ID, but because I'm not a level 2, I can't give it to you. Which I just find that stupid. If you can't give it to the person you're talking to, then why do you have access to that information? I would figure if this is supposed to be some kind of security thing, then why do they have access to it? But that's neither here nor there. I'm not some administrator at UWM that could, look into this kind of stuff. But anyway, so they're telling me I have to talk to a level 2. Fine. Okay, fine. Put me through to a level 2, please. Oh, all the level 2s we have on staff are on break right now. Okay, that's a little unusual, because like I said, I've worked in call centers before, and they always make sure that someone's able to cover everything, regardless of like who's on break or away or whatever. So I found that a bit strange, unless it's literally just one person. If it's just one guy or a woman that's a level 2 and they're on break, I guess that's one thing. But I don't know, that just seems a bit off. And I mean, it was a weekday too. It's not like this was a weekend where maybe they have lower call volume or something. So it just struck me as odd that all the level 2s that could help me were on break. I said, okay, fine, what do I need to do? So they tell me I need to, I could basically just leave a message with the level 1 I was speaking with. They pass it along, and then the level 2 would call me back. I said, fine. So I left the message, and that was it for that day. And it wasn't until the next day that I finally got an email. I didn't get a call, I got an email. And they're saying, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm a level 2, I heard about your situation, blah, blah, blah. Could you please call me? And I said, can we do this over email? This would be a lot easier if I could just do it over email. They said, no, unfortunately we can't, blah, 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 security, this and that. And I said, okay, fine. So I call him. This is literally like 10 minutes after I got this email from them. Literally 10 minutes after I got the email, I call him. Oh, sorry, all our level 2s are on break again. Well, actually, first I got voicemail. So I left a message saying, look, I just got an email from you, where are you? Could you call me back, please? And I waited another 10 minutes or so, and I said, okay, where the hell is this guy? And so I just called the regular help desk again. I'm on hold yet again for 20 more minutes. And then I'm back to talking to a level 1, because they apparently have plenty of level 1s there. And I say, okay, I just just exchanged a couple emails with this level 2, and now I'm trying to call them and they're not there. Where are they? You know, they literally just sent me the email. Why can't they answer the phone? Oh, they're on break. Sorry. Are these level 2s just constantly on break? I mean, what the hell? You know, this is where I'm starting to get kind of angry about this, because I mean, I don't have a luxurious amount of spare time, to kill doing this kind of stuff. I have 6 classes I have to worry about this semester. I have tests, I have assignments, I have things that I need to do, And on top of that, I'm trying to study for 2 CLEP tests as well. So I've got a lot of things occupying my time. And that's why you're not seeing as many videos, as many episodes from the show or anything like that. It's because I'm busy, I got stuff to do. And that's not to say that I don't want to do those things. It's just a matter of time. So, but because I obviously need to take care of this, because, my bachelor's portion of college is coming up, I need to get this stuff done. So I unfortunately have to kind of soldier on and get through this. So to kind of fast forward here, I basically had to play this kind of phone/email tag with this level 2 for 5 days, is how long this went on. Mind you, this is just to retrieve a campus ID number. I mean, by the 4th day, they should have just been like, you know what, I'm pretty sure if we just exchange voicemails where you say, your date of birth or whatever, because that's all they wanted. They just wanted me to verify, some personal information. The same thing that I do when I want to reset my password at, my bank or whatever. I mean, my bank has less crap to go through to retrieve information. It's stupid. This is so dumb. So finally, I had to take one for the team, and I had to basically wake up super early on, and keep in mind, I work, I'm usually up till probably, on average, at least 2 a.m. just because of my work schedule, and, I can't wind down right away when I get home and all that. But I decided to take one for the team. I woke up at something like 7 or 8 in the morning, and I called him. I kept calling this level 2. I called probably like 3 times. Kept getting voicemail. I was done leaving messages, because they know full well who I am and why I'm calling. So there's no need for that anymore. And finally, on like the 3rd time, I finally got through this person. I said, do not hang up, do not go on break, do not do anything until I have my campus ID number. And, of course, they're saying the typical mumbo jumbo, oh, I'm sorry I wasn't able to come to the phone, blah, 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 blah. I just kind of bit my tongue, because, man, did I really want to just unleash on this guy. But I know it's not entirely his fault, because this is all part of a structure that someone thought was a good idea. So ultimately I should find that person and chew him out. But that probably wouldn't do me any good, because they're not going to change anything. Because for some reason they think this makes sense. So finally I get my campus ID number. And then simultaneously I'm venting my frustrations to the only other resource I have available, which is the admissions Twitter account. And I've spoken with them before about past admissions stuff, and they're basically telling me, oh, sorry about your frustrations, blah blah blah. You should talk to our transfer specialist. And I said, oh, why? What? I didn't think this had anything to do with them. I figured that time was over, because they covered the transfer part. So now I'm back to talking with this transfer specialist, and there's more, slightly more misunderstanding going on, but I will give them, a bit more leniency because this was going on over email and it was spread out over several days as well. So sometimes, we're not getting the full story as we would if we were either talking on the phone or in person. So, I'm willing, I'm not going to really get too bent out of shape about that, but it still was a frustrating experience because then I'm being told by this transfer specialist that I have to reapply. And then I have to tell him, no, admissions department told me I can just do a term change request and, just start in the summer. Because ultimately what happened was I submitted the forms. That was fine. That process was smooth once I got my ID number. But then I wanted to sign into my student account on the website so that I could look over this little checklist they give you to make sure that I had basically all my ducks in a row and be ready for when they fulfill those form requests, and then I can finally figure out who my advisor is, because I'm pretty sure that student account will tell me once the advisor's been reassigned. But the thing was, I couldn't log into the account, so my time with support wasn't done. I had to call them back. Thankfully, though, at least after the next 20-minute hold, I was able just to take care of all the business on the level 1 area. I did not have to talk to a level 2 again, thank God. But it took, that was probably a good 20-minute phone call, just because they weren't exactly sure what was going on. And they had me downloading every browser that I had available, seeing if it was a browser issue, which it's understandable. I've worked with computers most of my life, so I know that kind of stuff can happen. Ultimately, though, what we determined to figure out here was that the account that I was trying to log into was in some sort of, I don't even know what you call it, like dormant state or something. Essentially what's going on is because I did not start my classes when I was supposed to, it threw my account into some kind of weird limbo stage or something. So again, I'm talking to the transfer specialist, I'm explaining what's going on, I'm saying like, hey, look, I can't log in because of this or that. And I'm talking to admissions as well. Or, well, maybe I was just talking to admissions, I don't know. But now they're telling me, oh, it's dormant because you have to readmit. And I said, well, wait a minute. We determined that all I need to do is submit a term change request and a major change, and I'd be good to go. So why am I now having to readmit again? And this is what I'm talking about. This is this consistent miscommunication going on through this whole episode. It's just crazy. Like there are so many people that only have bits of information there, and a lot of this should be at least within one department, where this department should know what's going on with a situation like this. And I can't imagine that I'm the first one to bring this to their attention. I really find that hard to believe, as much as I'd like to think I'm some kind of pioneer, I've discovered this problem for you guys, like, come on, that can't be right. I would imagine some students have gone through this kind of trouble before, because I'm sure students before me have, registered and been ready to take classes in the fall, and they decide for one reason or another to hold off on that, and then want to start up again, 1 or 2 semesters later. That sounds like a pretty typical situation. Maybe not common, but at least typical. So it was, again, I was just having my mind blown by just this miscommunication going on. So they're telling me I need to readmit, and then I'm talking to the transfer specialist, and they're saying, well, maybe you do need to readmit. And then I explained, I just turned in my term change request, so that should be all that's needed, right? And to make what's already been a long story short, I was told that I just need to update my transcripts that they have from MATC, where I currently go, because obviously the transcripts they have are outdated by probably two semesters at least. Because when I registered, I was still in the middle of my spring semester, so those grades hadn't been processed, and I wasn't done with those classes, so I didn't know what my final grades were going to be. And then I've taken one semester since then as well. So yeah, the transcripts are outdated. I totally understand that. And if they want updated grades, fine. I have no issues with that. So that's pretty much where we are now. It's essentially just me waiting, and I'm waiting because I turned in, like I said, I turned in the major change request, the term change request, and I have ordered and sent along, current transcripts to them. So it's pretty much a matter of them getting all these documents, processing them, and then getting back to me. Unfortunately, along the way, it seems I'm probably not going to be eligible for the scholarship I applied for, which is kind of irritating because I spent a weekend, filling out the forms, writing these essays, contacting teachers for letters of recommendation and all that. And now because this has delayed things so much, now I have an email saying that, oh, well, you need to, because my student status is kind of in this weird limbo, I have to get that taken care of before I think the 18th of March, and today's the 15th. So I'm pretty much figuring I'm screwed because there's no way that everything's going to be corrected before the 18th. I mean, maybe it will. I suppose that's possible, but if there's anything I've learned from college is that processing anything takes forever. Everything takes forever. My God, so long. And I realized, I understand that I am one of hundreds, if not thousands, of students that are applying or have some troubles with their student accounts, rotating grades, whatever. I realize that I am not, I can't pretend to be, like I'm some center of the universe or some crap like that. But still, this whole process was frustrating. So frustrating. So after speaking for almost 30 minutes, so apparently this is still going to be a rather long video. I apologize for that. I do get long-winded. But hopefully the story was, it gave you some information as to how maybe to go about things for yourself. Especially if you're, someone like me that's still in the technical or two-year college phase and you're getting ready to transfer. These are the tips that I would leave with you. For one, do not lose that student ID. Any student ID you get, any campus ID, whatever they call it, whatever number is used to identify you, do not lose it once you get it. Put it somewhere safe. Throw it in a document, a folder, a safe, I don't know. But just put it somewhere where you easily have access to it so that you don't have to go through any kind of retrieval process like I did. Because that was easily the most frustrating part of this whole thing was, like if I did not have to go through that crap with their help desk, this I probably wouldn't even be making a video about this. I mean, that definitely was a huge frustration in this. And the second tip is if you are deciding to wait on starting your classes at your four-year college or whatever for your bachelor's degree, make sure you know how long your application is good for. Talk with, if your college has a transfer specialist like UWM does, then make sure to get in touch with them just to update them, keep them up to speed with your situation, So, you know, tell them, say, okay, the plan was to go, you know, start classes for fall of this year, but I think I'm going to actually start fall of next year. You know, what does the situation look like? And they may tell you, they may say, well, if you reapply, or if you want to start next fall, you'll have to reapply, repay the fees, transcripts, all that nonsense. And just make sure, find out, like I did, that if you actually start in the summer, then maybe you can just do like I did and do a term change request and, you know, major change if that applies to you, things like that. Definitely make sure you stay in contact, because I think if I did that, then this process would have gone a lot smoother. And finally, like, I haven't really mentioned this, but know also how many credits you can transfer. Because I am finding out that I'm not going to probably be able to take as many extra classes at MATC as I originally thought, which is disappointing, but, you know, of course, universities want your money in their pockets, not in another college's. So, you know, capitalist greed prevails. You know, my original thought was that I was going to need to take something like 30 credits no matter what at UWM for my major or whatever. But in talking with the transfer specialist, I'm learning that I'm only able to transfer somewhere in the realm of 72 credits total from MATC. And by the time I finish my degree, I should have somewhere in the realm of 60 credits, maybe 65, depending. But basically that boils down to I can only take, you know, a handful, not even a handful of classes. It'll probably be maybe 3 extra classes from MATC that I can then transfer. But then after that, I've reached my limit and they're not going to take anymore. So then that means I basically have to fully go to taking classes at UWM, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, but, you know, here's the spectrum. MATC tuition for a 3-credit class is somewhere around $600. The same 3-credit class at UWM is closer to $1,000 or $1,100. And I don't know how my student loans are going to recalculate, if they do at all. You know, maybe I'll still only get the amount that I was getting when I was at MATC. And if that's the case, then there's going to be even more money having to come out of my pocket, because the financial aid that I get doesn't cover all of my tuition, so I still have to pay some money myself, and that just means there's going to be more money that I have to pay, because now I'm going to UWM, and because I'm planning on taking probably somewhere between it could be between like 5 and 8 classes that I might be taking these semesters at UWM, just because it'll speed things along. So that's going to be really intense, and as a result, it's going to be really expensive too. So, you know, I will figure that out at a later time. But hopefully, you know, hopefully this video was informative. I apologize for it being long-winded, but again, I hope that the story I've told is going to be useful to those of you that are going to be transferring yourselves in the future. So once again, the 3 tips that I want to leave you with: don't lose your campus or student ID for your university. Make sure you keep that in a safe place. Know exactly how long that application is going to be good for, because once you know the time limits, then you know what your options are. And finally, make sure you know how many credits you can transfer total from your 2-year college, because that'll hopefully make things a little bit more affordable for you. So I guess that's it. I'm going to there'll be some more videos coming down the road here, and I again hope to put out an episode, a proper episode of the Road to Japan. I know it's been almost a month again or something like that since I've done one. So hopefully I'm going to be able to do that this weekend, do a full proper episode, because there's a lot of stuff, you know, in school that I haven't really talked about yet. Though you can get kind of a sneak peek of some of the stuff I'll talk about if you want to watch the last video where I talked about and presented my informative speech that I did in class. So if you want to kind of see, you know, get a little taste of like the type of work I do, at least this semester, then head on over either to the roadtojapan.com, or if you subscribe on YouTube, you know, you can check it out there. But I'm gonna call it good because it's 35 minutes already. So yeah, we're gonna call it good for today. So once again, I hope this video was worthwhile to you. Apologies for the length, but that's gonna do it. So until next time, everybody, minasan ganbatte.